Hey everyone, this is Leah Cofield. Welcome back to Nothing Settle Here. We are about to kick off episode number 11. And we are going to continue in the same journal book that is called The Secrets of What Lies Within. So get ready and let's start. June 21st, 22nd, 2006. Not sure why I have that. Maybe I started and then picked up the next day. All right. I haven't written in so long. I'm not sure where to begin. I guess I'll start with how I'm feeling now. It's about 2:30 a.m. and I can't sleep. I'm torn about Frank again. He says he cares about us, but he never shows it. He hasn't called in 6 days. I've called him several times, but he doesn't answer or return the phone calls. Also, I sent him a Father's Day card with pics, and he never called to even thank me for it. I just don't get it. I have made so many attempts for us to be a family, and all he does is push us away by his actions. I'm running out of reasons to want him around. I'm beginning to think we would be better without him. He's lied, cheated, called me nasty names, regretted the two of us, raised his hand to me, gotten another female pregnant while he was supposed to be with me. How much more can I take? I have supported you through everything, and him, nothing. Granted, he bought you some clothes and diapers when he came here for just a few days. But that was the first time he even got to know you. Before that, he saw you for 48 hours when you were 3 weeks old. You're 3 months now, and who knows when he's going to come around again. I can't stand being away from you more than a few hours, and he goes months. He doesn't even call every day to see how you are. I just don't get it. I want what is best for you. I want you to know Frank, the man who's supposed to be your father, for us to be a family. But I can't force anyone to do anything they don't want to. I just pray one day he will come around for your sake. And I hope you know I am doing everything I can to help him love us. Okay. Well, that one was a lot heavier than I was anticipating. I guess the date didn't even ring a bell that this would have been dated after my son was born. So the one that I did before, I think that's what threw me off when I started reading it. It was in 2005. So there were several months that had passed. So I guess as I mentioned, Isaiah was 3 months old now. And the version that I'm writing seems a lot more real, raw, honest, angry. I feel betrayed. And like I'm at a breaking point. If this is your first time listening, I have been reading journal entries that I had written as I was facing an unplanned pregnancy. I think that I forgot that I wrote entries after Isaiah was born. So I feel a little shook right now. I feel a little shocked. Again, I didn't even realize that I got to this place of stating some of the things that happened between us. Wow. I guess let me start with the easier part first, which is when I was talking about him buying some clothes I had a due date, and Isaiah didn't come at the due date. In fact, he was like 2.5 weeks late. I was huge. I went in to the doctor's office and like, if you don't take this baby out of me, we're going to have a problem, because I was so uncomfortable, couldn't sleep. I could barely eat. There was literally no room for him to go. I'm like 5'4", but I say I'm 5'5", brown eyes, but that's just a lie. Anyways, so I was induced, and so anyway, according to the due date, I had communicated that to Frank, and his aunt actually bought him, well, it's not his biological aunt, but a woman that had helped him out quite a bit. Anyway, she bought him a ticket to be there for the birth, but I didn't give birth, and he only was there for a few days. And during those few days is when he brought some clothes. So anyways, I went into labor after being induced 2.5 weeks later. And this is why I was so uncomfortable, is because Isaiah was 9 pounds and 3 ounces, and he was mad long. I have to look up how long he was, but I remember after him coming out, they were like, oh my gosh, he's so long. And he still is. He's so tall. So it sounds like I was writing shortly after that. About when he came and what he had brought. Wow. I guess the hard part. Well, I feel a little torn that I even wrote it in there, honestly. I feel torn that, I just guess I had taken such an approach from the earlier entries. And remember, I'm like reflecting as I'm looking back. But the earlier entries were honest, but I think there was a little bit of a sugar coating that was taking place of like not wanting to dishonor Frank, not wanting to give him a bad name, not wanting to create this picture of somebody, and just wanting like whatever was going to be best for Isaiah. I'm sure there was some denial in there as well. Let's be serious. But I have like a knot in my stomach, because reading these words of like, I'm running out of reasons to want him around. And then I begin to list all the things that he had already previously done. Honestly, it's disgusting. It's disturbing. It's so disturbing. It's disturbing that I would write, I'm running out of reasons, as if there's any more reasons. Like, what other reasons, Leah? You said that he's lied, he's cheated, he's called you names. He said that he regretted us, that he raised his hand to me, that he was sleeping with another woman and she was pregnant. Like, what reasons? It's just, oh God, I literally have a knot in my stomach, because me looking at this now, being so removed from that, is like really depressing to read. Like the betrayal, he regretted, like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I wouldn't want me either. Like, how desperate. Like, literally feel gross. Like, I just feel like I need a shower. Like, what was I thinking? Clearly not at all. I had obviously no sense of worth for myself. No hope at all. I'm like reading this, and it's like I'm going back and forth between like, all of this crap is happening, but I'm still trying to call. He's doing this, but I send a Father's Day card in hopes. He's doing all this, but, and it's like, gosh, like, get it together, Leah. And then I ended with, well, I can't force anybody to do anything they don't want to do. Duh. Like, I just feel so frustrated at myself. Like, wow, the power, the amount of power that I gave this person to have the ability to manipulate and control and manipulate and control me is disgusting. Like, it's just, it feels uncomfortable to even say out loud. You know, it's interesting when we go through something, it's like, I knew all that happened. Like, I'm not sitting here like, oh my gosh, I didn't remember that happened. I just don't remember writing about it. But obviously, I remember what happened. I remember the first time that he got aggressive. I remember when he said certain things. Like, I remember all of that. And I don't know where I was going with that. I just feel stuck in my mind right now of like, what was I doing? Obviously, I remember what happened. But it's like, was it that I just felt so unworthy of anything more? I think that's the core right there. That is the core. I believed that I didn't deserve anything else. I believed that that was what was going to be the best situation for me, the best outcome for my son. I believed that that was as good as it was going to get, that if I didn't have that, then I would have nothing. And man, when we are in the pit, when we are in the darkness, we will believe things that are so untrue, so unrealistic, so hopeless, that we can't see to the other side. It's like my bottom line was, if I can't get this to work, then I'll have nothing. When the reality was there was nothing there except for brokenness and pain and manipulation and honestly abuse. Like, if we should just call it like it is. There was abuse happening. And the fact that I was sold something and believed it as true is like, I want to hit myself in the head. Like, is the epitome of like brokenness. I don't know. I feel like there has to be a stronger word here. Like, I allowed myself to believe such a distortion of reality. It was distorted. It was untrue in all of its aspects, that I would be unworthy of anything more. Wow. That my son wouldn't find. I don't even know if I was thinking that way. But was I thinking that he wouldn't be able to find or have a father, like a real father? Because look, anybody can have a kid. That don't make them a dad. It doesn't make them reliable, loving, supportive, and all of those other things. Like, in that moment, or in those months, years of like just our relationship, even before I was pregnant, like really believing like this is as good as it gets. Like, that's repulsive. That's the word I was looking for. It's repulsive. It literally makes me want to vomit. Like, that I would hang on to something so distorted. But, isn't there always a but? It's like when I take a deep breath, Leah, I feel angry. Y'all, I feel so angry. I feel angry at myself. I feel angry at lost time. I feel angry. I feel betrayed by him, and I feel betrayed by myself. Like I betrayed myself. And that is hard to reconcile. So here is where the but comes in. Is my life experiences leading up to this point, they created a narrative for me. They created a narrative that I was unworthy. They created a narrative to me that I wasn't worthy of a healthy relationship. It created a story for me that I was never going to be good enough, that I was never going to measure up, that there would always be somebody better than me. See, that's what my life experiences created for me. And so when we go through life experiences, we begin to create beliefs about ourselves, beliefs about the world around us, and we carry those with us. And a lot of times we carry them with us without even knowing it. See, now I have the privilege of looking back. Thank God, by the grace of God, I am no longer that person, right? I am no longer that person. Now, it doesn't mean I don't struggle with some stuff. A whole lot of stuff, actually. But I'm not that same person. And so I know I have value. I know I have worth. I know that I deserve good things. Not because I'm a good person, but because of the God I serve and because he's good. And so, but it's important for us as we're reflecting to ask ourselves, like, is this true? Like, where did this belief come from about myself, about people, about the world, about God? Like, where did that thought come from? And is it true? Like, is it actually factual? Or did my distorted life experiences or my trauma or the pain that I went through teach me that? And that was something that I ended up picking up and carrying with me into other relationships. I'm just thinking of one off the top of my head that correlates to this. Like, I really love to dance. Like, love to dance. Like, music is just, it's healing for me. And Frank actually really loved to dance too. So it was something we had in common. And I can remember many times being out to dance and he would be looking at someone else. And inside, I would almost instantly begin to compare myself. Like, oh, that's because she's skinny. Oh, that's because she's got big boobs. Oh, that's because she's got a big booty. Well, maybe just a better booty because, But whatever it was, like, it didn't even matter. And it's not like I would even, like, right now I'm laughing because I can acknowledge, like, that baby got back. But then it's like, I didn't even realize that. I didn't even realize there was no thought of like, well, I'm attractive too, or I'm a pretty girl too. Like, it didn't even cross my mind. So I would be like, instant comparison. Why do I say that? Because it reminded me of when I was growing up. Now, I love my brothers, and I know they mean well. But there were times that they would make fun of me, right? As siblings do. But they would say things like, they would grab my thighs and say, you could make 2 burgers, Big Macs out of these, or grab my belly, or I can remember my grandma saying to me, quit standing like that. And I was like, how am I standing? And she's like, with your butt out. I'm like, I'm not standing anyway. This is just the shape of my body. And I can remember from a young age always wearing a sweater tied around my waist because I wanted to hide my butt. I wanted to hide my hips. Now, some of this is cultural, right? Because I'm a white girl, and in the white culture, especially back then. Now everybody gets like their booty done and all sorts of stuff, which is the crazy world we live in. But when I was growing up, it was like culturally, white women are supposed to be tall and thin and like so skinny, like skin and bones. And that's what was attractive. And so here I am being short, kind of stocky, curvy, and and it just was it was called out in me. And so even from a young age, maybe teasing with my brothers, I hung on to that. My grandma telling me how to stand, looking at other girls and realizing like I don't have the same body shape as them, and becoming very insecure. So then, ready? Do you correlate it? And then I start looking at these other females like, well, they must be prettier because they have this or they have that or whatever. And so I say all that to say, like, there are things, experiences that will create stories for us. It will create narratives for us. And we begin to take core beliefs from that. We all have a set of core beliefs. And I encourage you to dig into yourself and to gain some self-awareness and ask yourself, like, what is it true that I believe about myself? Like, when I act a certain way, I behave a certain way, when I compromise my values, when I don't go for a dream I have, what is it that's holding me back? What is it that tells me not to do that or to compromise this or whatever that is? Because we have to ask ourselves the question, like, who told me that? Like, what is it that I'm actually believing, and is it true? Now, I'm going to end on this note. When we think back in Scripture, all the way back in Genesis, after Adam and Eve, they eat the fruit, right? Eve, my girl, she grabs the fruit, she eats it, she's deceived. We know how that part goes. And when they realize that they're naked, right? And they have shame and they hide, right? Isn't that what we do when we're shameful? We hide. Well, that's what they do. That's what they did. And God's walking around in the garden. He's like, hey, like, where are you guys? Not that he doesn't know. Of course he knows. But he's calling them out of their shame, right? Okay. They're like, we were hiding because we're naked. You know what he says to them? Who told you that? Who told you that? Who told you to be shameful? Who told you to hide from me? Like, who told you that? I didn't tell you that. I didn't tell you to hide. I didn't tell you to pick up shame. See, like, we got to go back to the beginning, and you got to ask yourself, who told me that? Who told me I wasn't good enough? Who told me I didn't measure up? Who told me I was always going to fail? Who told me that? Anyways, that's it for today, friends. I will see you next week.